If you are out in the yard, you're enjoying that back patio, you got a brand new outdoor sofa, a new fire pit, you're out there watching the sunset, just enjoying the outdoors, what we are famous for in the mountains of Arizona. If you're out there and the neighbors are watching you enjoy your backyard, now is a great time to plant. It's like peak time to put in a new privacy screen, a new spruce, a pine, a juniper, cypress, cedar. There's a lot of them. We can show you what they are. Just to let you know, now is a great time to plant a tree. It's a really good time if the sun is just beating down on you and you're going, man, I just need a little more shade right here. This is a tremendous time. Plant a new aspen or maple or locust. There's this beautiful golden tree. It's golden locust. Now is just the best time. I mean, it is absolutely peak, perfect timing to plant a tree because they're actively growing. When they're actively putting on their foliage, they're actively rooting. So you get more root underneath that tree. This is really important for evergreens. Evergreens, there's the first year they kind of root, the next year they take off. So it's like year 2, they really take off. If you want growth, you're going to set the stage for this tree is going to double by this time next spring. You need to get it in the ground now because the roots need to get underneath it. Then it'll just kind of get ready to push that new candle growth, that new, like they're starting to elongate right now. So these are pine, spruce, fir. They grow once in the spring, and after that, they're done. So you need to get the roots underneath them now so that you can set the stage for that new growth. Another great thing, garden centers have brought in their evergreens right now. So the selection is tremendous. You've got a lot to choose from, and they're priced as though they were a foot shorter because we bring them in so they can acclimate and they will wake up on our natural cycle. So you put them in now and they instantly grow an extra 8, 9, 10 inches. All of a sudden you paid for that shorter size and you get more plant because it's growing. So it's growing more, it's more economical. You get more roots. It's a perfect time. I can't emphasize that enough. A great time to put a new shade tree, privacy screens, big shrubs. So some of the prettiest shrubs of the season are now. So the crepe myrtles came in. This is the bright summer shrub. Crepe myrtles get up to easily head height, even taller. They're about the same size as a lilac. So you've seen lilacs blooming all around town down there. They're starting to finish up. There's still some blooms. They've had this wonderful fragrance for the last month, 6 weeks. Well, then they turn into, when they're done blooming, they just have this very handsome, well-rounded, easy to groom tree, a shrub. So it's like it's maybe an 8-9 foot big shrub is what a lilac is. Well, a crepe myrtle will turn into the same thing. It gets you a bloom cycle that's after. It's like 6 weeks after a lilac. So you start with forsythia. Actually, you start with quince, then the forsythia bloom, then the lilacs, then the roses, and then the crepe myrtles and the smoke bush. You can design color to always be rotating through your yard. And that's what a good designer can do. They're thinking through all the seasons. So something interesting is out there in the yard all the time. So they don't just go all evergreens because evergreens don't bloom that well. There's a couple that sort of try, but nah, it's the deciduous shrubs, and the ones of summer are some of the brightest. Crepe myrtle, they glow in the dark. I mean, they're so bright. They're some of the brightest colors from any shrub that's out there. I mean, butterfly bush is pretty. It does attract the butterflies, but it does not compare as far as color goes to crepe myrtle. There's a hibiscus that grows here. It's called Rose of Sharon. Now the hibiscus that grows down in Phoenix or the desert, or let's say tropical, let's Hawaii, those areas, that great big, 10, 12 inch across flower, that one does not grow here. Okay, it's an annual. That is, the winter will kill it off. Rose of Sharon it's a classic hibiscus kind of flower, but it was smaller. but it has way more of them. It'll have, instead of onesie, twosie flowers that are big, it'll have 3 dozen flowers that are smaller, about the size of a baseball. So they're just stunning. And it's a summer bloomer. Beautiful blues, whites, pinks, double flowers, double ruffle, singles. It's just a great plant for here. And it takes our wind and our sun. It's a good plant. Treat it like a tree. Don't pamper it like a flower. Put it out there, put it on the same drip line as your pine trees and your aspens and your maples, and a rose of Sharon will be just giddy about that. They want a deep soak once a week. That just makes them so happy. So another one that's sort of like that, a companion plant, is called smoke bush. This is a kind of an unusual plant that's unique to us. So if you're from the Midwest or places in California, you probably never heard of smoke bush. But here it is famous because it's so drought hardy. The animals don't bother. It takes the wind. It's just a tough little plant. It's actually a tough big plant. It gets, again, a companion with lilacs, crepe myrtles, rose Sharons, smoke bush. This is a very large bush, or a short tree is what it gets. It's usually multi-stemmed. It's not a single tree. Usually it's multi-stemmed. So it's like a big shrub, and it gets up easily head height. Can maybe keep it down that low, but it'll naturally go to 8, 9, 10 feet naturally. But here's why they call it smoke bush. And so it has this real pretty kind of silver dollar size foliage. Typically they're purple, like a deep, rich royal purple, but it also comes in green. And I've got a chartreuse variety, so this bright yellow. So depending on what your rock or your surrounding is, the color you're trimming your house, we can fit the variety that's right there. But it'll take that full sun, like south exposure off a radiant wall. It'll like that. It'll thrive with that. Its claim to fame is, in the summer, the flowers look like the plant is on fire. It looks like smoke is rising up on top. So the entire top of this bush will have smoky kind of flowers coming up. It looks very late, wispy. You're going, oh, it's very contradictory, very different than the foliage. It's about the same color, but lighter and wispier. So it looks like it's on fire. Literally, it looks like it's smoking. Thus the name smoke bush. It's a great plant. Another one that just started coming in, it's not quite in bloom yet, but it's heavily budded, starting to bud very nicely, is chaste tree. This is a companion plant to smoke bush. If you need some bigger shrubs, bigger things out there to kind of make it feel like it's got some plants in it, not just two-dimensional rock, boulder, 3 shrubs. It's just not enough. You need some height. You need some varying height, different colors coming on, different flower timing. You need some of that. And that's what makes for a great design in a 4-season climate. But chaste tree is a tremendous one. This is a pollinator extraordinaire. You will find bumblebees all over this, butterflies, hummingbirds will roost in it. They just love this plant, and super drought hardy. A chaste tree, so chaste, chaste tree. The rumor is that the monks back in the dark ages, whatever, when you got a little frisky, you drink some chaste tea leaves, make some tea out of it, and kind of take the urges away. So chaste, thus the name chaste tree. So I'm chasing anyway. Too much plant trivia. There we go. I could go on and on. Anyway, chaste tree. It's a great drought hardy plant, whether you're making tea out of it or not. It's just a pretty plant. And the whole top of this plant is covered in blue flowers, kind of like the color of a lilac. It's a different shape. It's got long peduncles to it. It has more flowers than a lilac does, and it blooms in summer. So it's a companion plant with the crepe myrtles, there's Sharons, roses are in that same palette. Anyway, on and on and on I go. We've got all the summer plants are coming in right now. And this is the time when you put them in the ground. It's finally warm enough where they're happy. They're budding out. They're leafing out. They look good. So if your plants look a little rough out there, maybe it's time to replace one with a nice looking one that's going to bloom through the end of the year. All right, back after this. Got to take a message break right now.